Okay.
Okay, so welcome everybody and welcome Elaine, and I'm so glad we're all here together and you guys got a little tidbit of taste of the rest of the evening.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, I do welcome all of you. So please tell me who you are and where you are. And yes, and what you hope to why you're here. What do you hope to gain out of a time discussing trying to cultivate a sustainable practice in our life? So, who wants to start?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Alma, and I'm calling in from Maryland.
Nice.
And it's I I don't have any discipline, Elaine. I'm terrible with it, and I'm tired of that. I want to start this for its benefits.
Mhm.
And like you said, I feel like once I get myself together, then I can really be of service. Gotta help yourself, gotta I don't know. I'm kind of in that mindset. Like, how can I help anyone if I can't do it for myself?
Good. Good. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Lama Lane. It's Jenny from
Hi.
Ohio. Um, I saw that you were teaching, and I've been looking for classes now that I'm in the Eastern time zone, and plus also trying to get back into a more of a routine with my on the cushion part of the practice. So
Mhm. Mhm.
thought that this would be a wonderful class to help me get that going and to get to see you again. So thank you so much for teaching us.
Thank you, Jenny. Nice to see you. Very nice to see you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm in Brooklyn, and I'm taking this class because, yeah, I found that my practice is pretty inconsistent, and sometimes I can feel like it's a chore, and I want to get out of that mindset because it's definitely, not. So I'm hoping to hear some wisdom about how to reframe that approach.
Great. Great. Thank you, Sarah. And Jai?
Yeah, hi. I'm obviously in South Australia, though originally from Missouri and then lived in California a lot. But I've been here for 40 years. So, yeah, as we spoke about earlier, discipline is not my strong suit. Um, I do try to stay aware as much as I can throughout the day. And one thing that helps me also, you spoke about when you're brushing your teeth and what have you. The other thing I do is like think of myself as a separate being in a certain sense and ask questions such as, how would you take care of an elderly person? And therefore, I should do that action rather than other things I might want to do. So
Great.
that's actually part of my meditation. So yes, thank you.
Nice.
Oh, and
Nice.
I enjoy your style tremendously, Elaine. That's, yeah. And I'm going to make apologies right now. I won't be able to come to the next session. It'll be filmed, so that's good. I've got appointments to go to. It's
Okay.
10:40 over here, a.m.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sheila.
Yes. So I'm from Shantideva Center. I'm in New York. I'm there's part of the spiritual programming committee, so I'm here as your host. But more important, I'm very excited to attend the class because although I have a regular practice, I feel like the quality of it has really gone downhill, and that's very frustrating and a little discouraging. So I'm hoping to kind of get reinfused with enthusiasm or get some direction that might help.
Great. 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 Okay. Well, I think it's a good plan to start with a meditation. What do you think? Let's just start there. So I invite you to take a good seat and sit fully. And really to check this body and mind. Let it be present in this moment. Wishing to settle into relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. So, to facilitate the relaxation, I find it's useful to bring my awareness to the crown of my head. And then allow a warm light to begin to flow down through the center and soften and release any tension that I find. My brow, around my eyes, my jaw, as I release and soften my facial muscles, simply succumb to gravity. And this light flows down into my neck and across my shoulders. It might be helpful to bring your shoulders up to your ears and then let them fall. As the light flows down the arms, past the elbows, into the hands, to the tips of the fingers, and feel the left hand cradling the right, gently in your lap. Then attending to the upper back as this light flows down. It's warm and soft, and it comes to your shoulder blades, kind of circling around places where there's tightness, shining and permission to release, filling your chest. Then floating down to the small of your back and allowing your belly to be soft. Let it receive the full breath, filling like a vase. And as you exhale, it flows on down all the way to your sit bones. Let your glutes be soft on the seat. And attend to your hips. Sometimes there's tightness, discomfort. Let the light flow down through your thighs, encircling your knees, giving them a little love. And down the legs to the tips of the toes, soles of the feet. Allow the whole body to be filled with this warm, loving light. And feel the breath within the body. the rising and falling of the abdomen. The gentle expansion of the chest. And the shoulders might lift ever so slightly. The sensation at the tip of the nose. And wherever it manifests most distinctly for you, place your awareness there in a single point, wherever it's most comfortable for you. And know when you breathe in, as the breath turns, when you breathe out, and as it turns again, to flow in naturally, without force or impedance, allowing the body to breathe. Perhaps it's useful to count for 10 cycles, breathing in and out as one. So this is a very good way to begin your practice session. I find that to do this, to really settle the mind and the body into the space of meditation, and then to make a strong determination, remembering my motivation, my overarching motivation to actualize my highest human potential. Not just for myself alone, but that I might be of the greatest benefit to others. And if that's my motivation, then it is my intention to remain present, to listen, to concentrate, to analyze, and to stabilize whatever realizations arise in the mind by pausing. For it's in the pause that clear seeing may manifest. When I meditate, I'm not trying to stop thoughts, for that's impossible. What I'm doing is deliberately attending to my object of meditation, whether that is meditation on the breath, or meditation on an image, or a prayer, or a sadhana. Analysis is a form of meditation. Although the sadhana goes through many, many parts, we attend to the energy moving in and out of the body many, many times. If we attend to that and we are aware of the visualizations that we are creating in our mind, we begin over time to see them as more and more real in our world. Real in a sense of being able to remember. So it's not an accident that the 3 higher trainings are ethics, concentration, and wisdom. And we begin with ethics. I certainly know that when I have engaged in any kind of harm, that it's difficult for me to subdue the mind and remain present until I have mitigated the results of that, purified that in some way, apologized, accepted the fault, and resolved to refrain from that kind of behavior in the future. So we start there, living an impeccably ethical life. And we need concentration to be able to do that, don't we? We need mindfulness. to be aware of what is arising in our mind. So we cultivate concentration and mindfulness by attending to a single object, whatever object it is that draws us, that is our practice, to stay there and see what happens when the mind escapes and goes off into a distractive stream of analysis. And we catch ourselves. And then, oh, yeah, okay, mind is busy now, come back. And we come right back to the object. Doesn't matter how many times. Just as soon as we realize that we have left the object, that we are doing something else. We are ruminating over the past or fantasizing about the future, liking this and not liking that, attracted by a sound, a feeling, an emotion. Just as soon as we notice, oh, then very kindly, we come back and we congratulate ourselves. Good job. Okay, good. And then back again. But if I make a strong determination at the beginning for this amount of time, and I set a timer, this amount of time, I will remain. Then there's a chance, if I make it not too long, there's a chance that I will have a better outcome in remaining more and more present. The first thing is simply placing the mind on the object, remembering the instruction. That in and of itself is success. For when the mind is in turmoil, it's very hard to even place the mind on the object. So I thought that I would just share a little bit what I do. What I do. Not because it's anything supercalifragilistic, but it's what has brought me to a place of having a practice that I look forward to and I would miss deeply when I cannot. So practice is not just on the cushion. When we wake up in the morning to actually recognize, wow, okay, great, another day. Thich Nhat Hanh has a beautiful prayer. It says, I wake up in the morning and smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look upon each being with eyes of compassion. If I think like that, then, and I say that prayer, then when I go to the mirror, I smile at myself. And so if Grumpy wakes up in the morning, saying that changes my reality. Oh, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to do like this. So I make a determination to engage in activities that are congruent with my motivation, my pole star, my guiding light for my life, which includes living an ethical life, growing my mindfulness and my wisdom. So then I go through the brushing of the teeth and I have a tray and I put on it a pitcher with water for the water bowls and tea for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who sits on my altar picture. And I make coffee. It used to be tea, now it's coffee. And I take that tray to the gompa. And the first thing I do when I go into the gompa is to incense the water bowls for offerings. Now, one could just have a candle on the altar. Good enough, dear. Just good enough. You have an image of an enlightened being and a candle. Then I incense my water bowls, and after that, I take that incense and offer it to each image on my altar, the thangkas hanging in my gompa. And as I do so, there's something that ignites in my heart, something that warms my heart. I remember being with that teacher. I remember the smile, the kindness, the wisdom. And it doesn't take very long to do, but it opens my heart. And right then, things shift in that moment. And then if my body is amenable, I do prostrations to the 35 Buddhas. In the moment, that's not working for me right now, so I have to do it in my mind rather than with the body. But I fully intend to get back to that. And then I sit. And when I sit, I begin with reading something. I have a book that I'm reading, some Dharma book. And I just read a little bit. And sometimes I'm thoroughly enamored with some quote. So I'll read it over 2 or 3 times or more until I feel like I really have that. I brought with me a poem from Yang Gumpa. And this is what I've been reading every day lately. So I memorized it, but I don't trust myself to say it from memory, so I'm going to read it to you. So he writes, "Nothing that starts remains unchanged. Have no attachment. Cut the ties. There's no lasting happiness in this vicious circle. Get tired of it. Find renunciation. Your own mind is the Buddha. Go and meet your friend. The hour of life is passing. Start down the road to freedom. Send away the many thoughts of the busy life you lead. Bring to your side the many thoughts of what will happen later. Everyone would like to stay, but no one has the power. Try to think of something that will come and help you later. It's hard to find a life with opportunity and leisure. Now, for once, you have. So try to get the most from it. It's easy to get used to mistakes. Post the sentry of your awareness. The objects of the senses are good at tripping people up. Learn to disregard useless things. Nothing but the Dharma means anything at all. Throw the rest out like trash. It all boils down to dying. Pack light and take off now." So when I read that, I can parse it out and look at the teachings that I have received on these various aspects, what it means to find renunciation. So I think about that. How do you find renunciation? Without renunciation, practice is tenuous because we can always find something that is more enticing. We may even intend to walk to the gompa, but the plants need watering. There's things that trip us up. The phone rings. Something. So easy to get tripped up. So what does it mean? What are the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma practice? It's how precious this life is. So if we don't have that, that first thought that I have something special and really look at the truth of that. To really look at that. Is it true? Is it true? You know, we have a home, we have food, we have our health, we have intelligence, we have an education. We don't have bombs dropping on us. No, I mean, we have so much going for us that we take for granted. I mean, I take it for granted. So every day to sit down and go, wow, okay, another day. I woke up, another day. I have another day to practice. I have another day. How will I use it? Ask yourself that. What's most important? And, you know, we all want to stay, but none of us have the power. You know, it all boils down to dying. We don't generally, I would say, think that we're going to die today. About a week ago, I was out gardening, trimming the small oak tree, and I tripped on a irrigation line. My toe caught, and I fell on my chest on a piece of wood, which nearly knocked the wind out of me, but you know, I fell, and I hit my head, and I hit my arm, and I rolled over and sat up, and I went, wow, this is just how death comes, you know, just like that, without a by your leave. What will I think at the time of death? To remember that death can come at any moment. So what's the most important thing that I can do with my life in this moment would be, I've carved out this piece of time that I'm going to practice. I'm excited to do that. I want to do that. And I want to do a good job. What does that mean? It means I really want to be present. What is it that I'm doing? Why am I doing this particular aspect? What does it mean to take refuge? You know, we say the refuge prayer at the beginning of our practice. Yes, we say the refuge prayer. In what am I taking refuge? We say the words, but what does it mean? You know, if we think about the whole lineage all the way back from the Buddha to our own teachers, it's like we can be astounded if we really think about the benefit of what we've been given, which is so completely out of the realm of Western society. It's astounding. We generate bodhicitta, which begins to tear a hole in the fabric of samsara as we question our reality, that we are the one, the inherent one, and those out there are different, they're separate. To think about what it means to do the practices that we do, to say the things that we say. When we think about the four immeasurables, oh, how wonderful it will be when all beings have happiness. And then to pause and think, I want all beings to have happiness. So we begin to, we're planting these seeds so that when somebody appears, we want them to be happy, no matter what their manifestation. We're just over and over and over again, how wonderful that will be. And how wonderful it will be when no one has suffering. That would be amazing. for everybody to be happy and not to suffer? To always have a fortunate rebirth? To be free of hatred, aversion, attachment, grasping desire? To be free of ignorance, believing that we exist exactly as we appear and everything else is somehow out there. So, trying to bring the knowledge that we have from our studies, what we've read, what we've been taught by our teachers, to each part of our practice. Sometimes our practice we make so elaborate, so many prayers and so many things and so much that we aren't getting the kernel of what each part is. Do you know what I mean? Do you know? When I think of my Lama now, it hasn't been that way all the time. What causes guru devotion? It's the amount of benefit that one receives from following their teachings. If you receive benefit from doing what your teacher advised you to do, then you think, wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And then every time we think of them, our heart warms. So I think cultivating gratitude for what we have been given, to recognize that it's special, that we have this precious life and it's special. It's not an ordinary life. It's extraordinary. And we have to keep telling ourselves that. I sometimes think it's like if you have children or you've been around children at Halloween and they dress up in their costumes, and they become a superhero or a beautiful fairy who's going to bring happiness to all of the beings, with their little magic wand. It's like that. It's convincing ourselves that we have the potential to actually do this. And when we see that we use the tools, we wear our Dharma tool belt. All these things, every bit of teaching that we have received is a tool to use, to think about, oh, this life is precious. Do I want to waste it in that way? Am I going to go do that, which would drag me away from the ability to actually do a retreat or do practice? Instead, I'm going to do that. You weigh it. It doesn't mean that you don't get to go have fun. That's not it. Lama Yeshe used to say, enjoy as much as possible, dear, without grasping. So know that whatever enjoyments we have are temporary. They come, they abide, and they go. But there is no lasting happiness out there, anywhere. There's just beautiful happiness in this clear and spacious mind. And what arises in the mind is what we have cultivated. Think about it. Think about that. Actually, it was Niels Bohr, the atomic physicist. And he said, all new experience arises within the frame of one's own perception and point of view. How we experience our world. Buddha said, he told his disciples, and you all have heard this, I'm sure, not to believe what he said, but check it, like gold, like you were receiving gold, to cut it and rub it and burn it. He said, each one must investigate, must analyze, must explore how the mind fabricates its experience of the world until you have no doubt in your heart. How does it happen? How does the mind fabricate its experience of the world? So these are questions, when you read something like that, you say, oh, how does that happen? Think about it. Analyze it. Investigate it. What have I been told how that happens? Oh, yeah. Everything's a dependent arising. Arising from what? Seeds that I have planted. Previous, conditioned, mind conditioned by karmic seeds. What do I want to arise in my mind? I want happiness. How do I cultivate happiness? It's very simple. We cultivate a warm heart. So we think, I have this precious life and I'm going to lose it. I don't know when. So what must I do? The third thought that turns the mind to the cushion or to Dharma practice, not necessarily on the cushion, but off the cushion as well, is how karma works. Is karma. Actions, that actions matter. Every physical action matters, every word matters, and every thought matters. Gampopa said, when thoughts arise, don't let them spawn a discursive stream of analysis. See them simply as mind, conditioned by latent karma. You know, when you sit, perhaps watching the breath, or perhaps having released the breath and simply resting in awareness, we can see what arises in the mind. We can see it. But if we don't grasp it, if we don't allow it to take us away from this present moment, and we see what happens to it, we see that it has no essence. It simply arises, and if it's not entertained, it leaves. Just like an uninvited guest that wasn't served tea. It's very interesting to me to watch that, to see the truth of that. That mind, Dujim Rinpoche, his definition of mind, he said the essence of mind is empty, spacious, and pure from the beginning, like the open blue sky. Its nature is luminous clarity, spontaneous and unobstructed. And its energy is compassion, all pervasive and unimpeded. So if I sit in awareness, understanding the empty nature of mind, then what appears to the mind is like a cloud that passes through, that cannot stay on its own. Does that make sense? Have you had that experience? To sit, the space between the thoughts, to mind the gap. I got a big kick of being in London and seeing the underground, what's it called? It's not called the Underground Railroad, whatever it is, the Eurail going down under, and there's signs that say mind the gap. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's exactly right. Mind the gap. It is like that. It's to go deeply into that sky and rest there. Because the mind that sees the emptiness of the mind is nirvana. Shantideva said that. Mind that sees the emptiness of the mind is nirvana. Resting in emptiness, free from grasping, then one is free. We have to taste that, touch that. And when we have an opportunity and we make a strong determination to actually try, to believe that you can, and then do it. And never be discouraged. Never be discouraged, because we never know when the Dharma ahas will appear. They simply appear. Lady Naguma said, if you practice like magic, you will be enlightened like magic through the power of faith. She said, like and dislike are mind's disease, certain to drown you in samsara's sea. So we try to develop this wisdom of realizing the true nature of this mind that fabricates its experience. If I catch myself criticizing, judging, disliking, and I can pause and think, is it true? Is it really true? Since nothing that starts remains unchanged, this too is going to change. Everything that appears is changing. There's a really great meditation in Ken MacLeod's book called Wake Up to Your Life. And it's just change, how things are impermanent. I recorded that meditation for myself many years ago, and then I listened to it, because it starts with the biggest things, like the galaxies are changing, and then it comes down to the mountains are changing, and the oceans are changing, and then it goes down to lakes and puddles, and then civilizations and societies and how they're changing. And we get so fixed on what we think is. It is. It is. We do. We do. So if I can stop and say, this is also changing. And my projection, do you know how we project? Okay, how do we how do we fabricate our world, our experience of the world? How many times, I'm going into my 80th year. How many times have I planned a vacation? And I, made it all, figured it all out, and decided it was going to be like this. I had a visualization of what it was going to be like and what that beach was going to be like and how, oh my, just go through it. I haven't had all that many vacations, but I can tell you that it's much more fun to think about the vacation than the reality of the vacation. I could give you examples, but I don't want to bore you. It is like that. We project, and we project onto everything. Onto everything. So what do we want to project? We are projections. We are. We're gonna, we're rolling our film all the time. But we have the potential to place the camera in a way that we will be taking in the good. That's what Dr. Rick Hanson, who wrote Buddha's Brain and Hardwiring Happiness, that was something that he always talked about. He said, take in the good. And in neurological terms, if you think about something and you hold it in the mind for 20 seconds, it either creates a new neurological pathway or it deepens the one that you already have. So when they say stop to smell the roses, notice what happens when you actually pause and you stop and you smell the rose and it changes your DNA. It changes how you feel in the moment when you embrace goodness. Instead of seeing the glass as half empty, rejoice that it's half full. Thinking about how precious the life is, how quickly we're going to lose it, how every action matters, and then to think about the suffering of cyclic existence. That's the fourth thought that turns the mind. Precious human life, death and impermanence, karma and suffering. It was his core realization when the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree. This suffering. Whenever the mind is separated from wisdom and abides in a self, there is suffering. And it has a cause. Suffering has a cause, and it is that grasping onto the inherent existence of oneself and phenomena. That's the cause of our suffering. And we should think about that. We should meditate on that. Is that true? Is it true that because I think something out there is inherently beautiful and I would like to have it, is that suffering? These are things to think about. If I think it's inherently ugly and I want to be free of it, is that object inherently ugly? Or the other one inherently beautiful? We take it apart, we take it apart and think about it. And how does my mind react? How does my mind react when I think like that? We can see the grasping that arises, can't we? We can really see it happen in our own mind, moment to moment, grasping arise. We see something fantastic. Somebody shows us the latest iPhone and all the bells and whistles that it can do. I remember that a long time ago. Somebody showed me and I thought, wow, that's amazing. That was before I even had an iPhone. I had a flip phone. So I thought, oh, yeah, that would be great. But when I finally got the iPhone, I couldn't even figure out how to turn it on. So it was not the immediate cause of the happiness. We can just take anything apart and we can see that the cause of happiness and the cause of suffering is in the mind. It's not in the object. And this is what we must be really clear about. This is what we must know. That all of our experience is in the mind. When I was a kid, my dad used to say, oh, quit dramatizing. It's all in your mind. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, it wasn't because he thought it was empty of any inherent existence, but he knew that I was creating a bigger deal out of something that was going to pass, like all things. So this is the way we must check. I must check. I check myself. When I was in 3-year retreat, I listened to all of the Discovering Buddhism videos. I watched all of them. And one of them was the one who presented it was Richard Gere. And he said when he was a child, he used to say, whenever he saw an animal, he used to say, "Oh, may you be happy." I thought that was remarkable. As a child, he automatically wished happiness on the animals. And at the time, being in retreat, every day I took a long walk down my driveway and back up again. And I was reciting Om Mani Padme Hum. I was chanting it as I would go. And I thought, even though I may have some idea of what those syllables mean, if I said, Om, may you be happy, there will be a different idea in my mind. So I started chanting to the tune of the Om Mani Padme Hum. I started chanting, Om, may you be happy, Om, may you be happy, Om, may you be happy. And I would chant that. So if I came across an animal or a person, I didn't chant out loud because I was in silence at the time. It just automatically, I was wishing that sentient being to be happy. And there's something that happens in the heart when you hold that wish for beings to be happy. There's a warm-heartedness that comes from that. So cultivating that warm-heartedness and cultivating the 4 immeasurables, cultivating the wish for all beings to be happy is one of the practices that is so beneficial to do every day. To just think, may it happen. May it be true. May it be true. So I thought we would do another meditation, but maybe you have a question or a comment. And maybe not. There's nothing, nothing maybe nothing has come. But you can always write to me if you have a
I just
question.
had a quick question.
Please.
When you mentioned the karmic seeds arising, or everything is a dependent arising from karmic seeds or seeds that I have planted. So the seeds that I have planted is the same as the karmic seeds?
Yes.
Is one and the same?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
What would you think it would be? How would you
I
see it?
was
How would you see it as different?
just then it goes back to that fate versus destiny thing.
Oh, yes.
That's what I was confused by that. Is it that there is a calling for me and that I just haven't tapped into those seeds? Or is it that is it a choice that I'm making every day? And which
Yes.
is why I'm not tapping into the seeds.
Yes. I asked Kirti Senchab Rinpoche something similar, because when you talk about, if we say we create the cause to experience every result, okay, we plant the seeds that will ripen as either suffering or happiness, depending on virtue or non-virtue, or vice versa. So if that's true, then if everything is a karmic seed ripening, then where's free will? Is there free will to create, or is the seed automatically ripening? And he said, you have a choice. You have a choice. It's arising in your mind because you planted that seed before. These are not his words. It's arising in your mind because you planted that seed. But you have a choice whether you follow or whether you purify that seed. You can either follow it and plant more seeds in the same way, or you can cut that. You can stop that so that you see it less and less. Over time, this is how you will know that your practice is working. Because over time, less and less negative thoughts will arise in your mind, and more positive thoughts will arise in your mind because you're cultivating them. And you are purifying or stopping or cutting or not augmenting the negative thoughts. You're not following, you're not going down that rabbit hole. You're saying it's empty of inherent existence. And if I do that and follow that and say that and think that, I will think it, say it, and do it again. And again, and again, and again. But if I say, no, I have a strong resolve not to do that, even though it may come again, I'm not going to follow it. And then if you do something different, I can see I'm really weird because of this background. I'm beginning to see, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted in my picture in this little gallery up here. Sorry about that. Does it make sense to you? You see, let's see, Tilopa said, view the mind as having no thought other than repetition. Can you imagine? If we see the mind as empty, spacious, and pure, and the only thing that is arising in the mind is coming from what we have thought, said, or done before. This is very interesting to look at, to think about, to see. If that's true, then we really can create our own paradise. We really can stop seeing wars in our world. We really can live in a pure land. We really can arise as an angel. Within emptiness, all things are possible. So for us to embrace that attitude, to cultivate a warm-hearted attitude, changes our world. It changes the way we see our world. It changes, we stop clinging so much to ourself. And we start believing in the welfare of others and helping others. And we begin to have more opportunity to help others because we see it. We see ways that we hadn't seen before because we were so self-absorbed. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. This is the weirdest thing because because the light is changing. It's getting dark here and I don't have any light in this tiny little place where I am. And I've got this screen behind me. I'll do something. Oh, I went away. Yeah, because there's no light. Let's see. Look, you see, it's all an illusion. Life is an illusion. And so's this. There's a curtain. This window was so bright because the sun was shining in. Look, there I am. Sorry. Oh, gosh. All right. What do you think? Shall we do a meditation? Yeah, just to grow our
One more
Buddha.
question?
Yes. Is there another question?
Jay had her hand up a minute ago.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yes, please.
Okay, I would like to ask it now because I won't be here next week. It's a question and a comment. One of the things that came up earlier on in your presentation was I'm thinking, oh, I've got such a basic question that I have still unanswered even after all this time, which is why meditate? Right?
Mhm.
What is the reason for this? And it came to me that the reason for it is it's so that I can choose where my mind goes, because normally it's just rattling on.
Mhm,
And clearly, that's not a good thing to just have it in
mhm,
the background going wah, 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 wah.
mhm.
So this to me, and one of the things that I choose, by the way, is one of the things that it's not an object I focus on. I will sometimes simply choose to have no thought. In my own mind, I think of it as my no thought place. And I don't hear much about a description of that anywhere. So I'm not sure if it's a correct thing to do, but it is quite lovely. So it's such a
So
relief.
that's, mhm, mhm, mhm.
So why
Uh,
do we meditate?
well, you're right. You meditate to be able to understand because all things arise from the mind. So within the mind, so we need to see the mind. And the only way to see the mind is to look at the mind. And the only way to look at the mind is to pause and be with the mind, be in a state of awareness which sees what arises in the mind. And when you say no thought, um, thoughts do diminish when your object is pure awareness. Thoughts will diminish because you're not attending to them. Milarepa said you cannot stop thoughts because he said even if you put them in tried to put them in an iron box, you can't stop thought. But you can be completely unattending to thought, which is you are in a state of pure awareness, being in that heightened state of awareness, which is beyond thought. You see what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, we just have 15 minutes, and I just do a little brief bodhicitta meditation, okay? I think it's a lovely way to end. So, if we find our seat and sit fully, and imagine that our Lama appears before us, smiling, happy with our effort, and allow your heart to be full of gratitude for the opportunity to have met a teacher teaching a path to freedom. How amazing. And if you can imagine their smiling face, warm and loving, and turning to them, ask them to please bless my mind. And think that they're pleased. And they melt into a small sphere of light, which then comes to the crown of my head and slowly begins to descend down, right through the center of my body. And it comes to rest at my heart center. It's a small sphere of warm light whose nature is love. Love is wishing the beloved to have happiness in all of its causes. As you inhale, imagine that that light becomes energized, brighter, blissful, warm. And as you exhale, allow it to expand slowly on the breath, energizing and expanding. Let your whole body be filled with this loving light. And think, I am loved. And it is my nature to love. And as the light continues to expand, it becomes uncontainable. And allow it to pass through all of your pores. And it creates an aura of light around you. And think, it is my nature to love. And let those light rays fill the room and your home. And the land around you, and anyone it touches, has a sense of being loved, brings inner peace. Think of those in your world who are unwell and send this light to them. Those who have passed away, let them have fortunate rebirths. Shine the light of love on the countries that are in war. May they have peace. To places devastated by natural disasters, may they have what they need. To places where beings are oppressed, no freedom. To all the places where people are unwell, depressed, not enough to eat. Let there be abundance. And then allow these rays of light to begin to gradually contract back. Until they are just in the room, and then the size of your body. And then smaller and smaller. Simply let them rest in this small sphere of light at your heart, this light of love, right there always. Can be dropped into in any moment to benefit sentient beings and to benefit myself. I remember the love of my Lama. How wonderful. And let's dedicate that this positive energy that we have created be a cause for the enlightenment of ourself and all beings. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May we be well. And may there be world peace based on enlightened politics. And I thank you all very much for your kindness in being here, and may you be well. Have a good week. And if you have questions that you'd like me to address next week, my email is retreatelaine, RETREATELAINE @gmail.com. And you're welcome anytime. Okay? Good. May you have a delightful week.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Elaine. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. This was really
You're welcome.
beautiful, beautiful
You're
class.
welcome.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Thank
much.
Yes.
you so
All
much.
See you all
right.
next week, I hope.
Okie doke. Thank you so much. Take good care now.